Like the guy I'm dating now, we're on the exact same page about wedding, and he does not want to marry me.
What men really want and what they really need is peace.
Fellas, a lot of these women ain't wife material.
Most American women are wired for divorce.
A lot of you guys are shitty wives.
A successful marriage requires falling in love many times.
You think that American women are unmarriageable?
I just came to the realization why I'm single.
What's your body count?
10.
If he says, I just want things to be easy, run for the hills. Run.
Marriage used to be forever. Now it's for how much you have in the bank.
The reason why men seek loyalty in a woman more than anything else is because we live in an age where a woman will initiate divorce with a good man that has sacrificed for her and for his family. She will even admit that he's a good guy, but she's just unhappy. She's bored. She's hit a midlife crisis. Her hormones are out of whack. But what's messed up is that she just wants to be rid of the guy that she views as in her way of the excitement and change that she wants. But the difference is that a loyal woman will continue to value the qualities of a good man through her own unhappiness, her boredom, her midlife crisis, and her hormonal changes. She will not make a permanent decision based on what she knows is temporary feelings. And that is exactly what a good man needs.
Nowadays, men are saying they want a feminine woman. Over and over again, they're asked, what is feminine? I haven't gotten a clear answer, not from a man's perspective. So last night on a live, shout out to y'all who were watching it, I asked men to define feminine. Finally, we got an answer. So here are the 12 traits of a feminine woman. Get your pen and paper ready, folks. Let's get into it. Soft, caring, loving, nurturing, supportive, submissive, understanding, peaceful, pleasant, selfless, guided by a moral compass, God-fearing, empathetic. Now, ladies, I want you to hear this with an open mind. You may not agree, or you may think it's a lot. This is what they want. And men are entitled to their preferences, just like we are entitled to ours.
Let me tell you, if a guy says to you, I want peace in my relationships, if he says, I want a drama-free relationship, if he says, I just want things to be easy, run for the hills. Run for the hills immediately in that moment. Just turn around and walk away.
But wait, there's more.
I think any man that their number one requirement for a woman is for a woman to be his piece, you just know you're dealing with a true fucking menace to the dating pool. Because what the fuck do you mean you need me to be your piece? If you gotta ask for peace, you're a piece of shit. Honestly.
And they wonder why there are so many passport bros. Oh my God. If he finds peace in your relationship, you're his person. These women are insane. When a man says he wants peace, he really means that he can't provide her with the level of chaos she requires for her emotions. My ex left, abandoned our kids and me for a toxic drug user. Now she's mad I went to court with the receipts and got full custody. In other words, they bring chaos and you dudes must remain quiet. Run away from these chaotic women. I guess a man asking for peace now is too much. Some men barely even get respect from their wives. Imagine coming from a 12-hour shift and you have your wife to deal with. Keep in mind that peace is created, fellas. If she's bringing drama and arguments into the relationship or marriage, you need a new woman.
I prefer not to get married to an American woman is because most American women are wired for divorce. Many of them come into your life just to divorce you. They are okay with going through a divorce. They are not willing to take any hit. Any little thing. I'm about to go to the car. I'm about to go to court and get a divorce with you right now. I ain't playing with you, boy. I don't want you no more. I'm going to check out this relationship. I do not want to go through that. Most American women live on fast food. Checkers, KFC, Popeye chicken, and, McDonald's. I do not want to go through having to buy food every day outside. This is one of the reasons why I would prefer to get married to an African woman, because African women, they have been trained to make food in the house. They have been trained to stay in the relationships no matter what happens. It's very difficult for an African woman to get a divorce.
After hearing this woman commented, He wants a well-trained doggy wife. Even after listening to what that man said, this woman still had an issue. The way modern women in America see marriage is not the same as people from other countries. They think marriage is just labor duty for the man. Those women were born in a household where they teach them on how to be a good wife to their husbands. No wonder why most men aren't getting married. These modern women think they've become doggies once they're married.
Maybe like in the future, divorce rates will go down because people were just kind of marrying like
Super
one person
early.
like early, and like they weren't seeing like testing the waters between so many people, and now like people date so much, like you like meet so many people,
which is also a problem though, because then you're always in the back of your head and you can be like, there's
is there something better?
Yeah,
but like, or you like you know what you want more, like you know.
I don't know, with the fucking men that we've been dealing with this past weekend, I don't know if the
So
divorce
true.
rates are going to go down.
Women are initiating divorce because men are not doing the work to become emotionally intelligent.
My husband and I are separated. We started working on our marriage in January of 2023. We started marriage counseling in June. He actually worked really, really hard at first, and he no longer works nearly as hard because it is hard work. I decided in December that I want to follow through with the divorce. I felt extremely guilty at first. He did ask me what he could do to save our marriage, and I told him exactly what he could do. And his response was he didn't have time or money because his job was more demanding in December, and that he does what he can and what his body will allow. And that's when I no longer felt guilty. If he had emotional intelligence, I would not have received any pushback. It's sad because I really thought his emotional intelligence had grown, but that showed me it hasn't.
Is this woman serious? She gets on the camera and give no information as to what happened in her marriage. What I'm getting from this is that she's divorcing her husband who's been working hard for the family because his job got harder and it's taking a toll on his body. I don't think she understands what emotional intelligence is. A lot of women who are asking for an emotional intelligent man are women who can't handle their own emotions.
The most underrated red flag a man can have is if he backs into parking spaces when it's not necessary to back into the parking space just to show off. Like, really? That is the definition of I bet your daddy's so proud. Like, that is what you have to show for? I'm not impressed that you can back into parking spaces. Literally not one bit. Like, wow, you're so cool. Why would you ever think that's a cool thing to show off? It's just crazy. Don't go out with that guy.
A lot of you guys are shitty wives. I'm sorry, you are. You don't cook for your...
Pearl was right about one thing. I was a shitty wife. Married and divorced twice before 30. Come holler at your girl. Here's the real question. Why are 70% of women initiating divorce? Why are women divorcing men? What do y'all think?
I'm glad she brought this up, because every one of these women seems to think because 70% of women initiate divorce makes it automatically the man's fault. Well, what about this?
I could not resist, so I had to look it up. From the Office of National Statistics, from a 2019 study, in ever-increasing numbers, we are now at a lesbian divorce rate of 72%. So the top 4 reasons that they are reporting getting divorced is feeling ignored, inequality in the partnership, adultery, and domestic violence. Personally, I feel like this lends some weight to men's arguments and complaints about how women are behaving in relationships. Because when you have lesbian divorce statistics that look like that, the girls are kind of telling on themselves.
I can believe this. My sister-in-law gets married like 6 months into a relationship, then divorces 2 months later. This is her 4th marriage. As a lesbian, women aren't as great as they think they are at communicating. They've just been socialized to think they are. But men are usually blamed for everything. All this says is it's not only the men. Women need to look at themselves too. That number is pretty high, if I say so myself. And by the way, the gay men marriage divorce rate isn't even that high. It's only 16% compared to the women. So who's really the problem?
Do you think that American women are unmarriageable? Or are there certain women out there who do have the quality?
Get those safe spaces ready, because this just might hurt a few feelings. Because there's a lot of American women that will never be considered marriage material, because quite frankly, a lot of these women are just too selfish to be in any kind of long-term relationship, let alone a marriage. Because the amount of time, effort, and self-sacrifice, and yes, that's by both parties in that relationship, that is required to make a marriage work, does not often occur to those individuals who often only think about how to get ahead financially or socially, and tend to view relationships as strictly transactional, as a lot of American women do. Not to mention that a lot of these women also want to go into these relationships being treated like princesses and queens, but yet do not bring anything to the table except for their looks and a sense of entitlement. And yes, there are exceptions to this, of course, but by and large, that is why a lot of American women will never be considered marriage material.
My ex-fiancée once told me she shouldn't have to change, compromise on anything, because it should be my job to change. One of many red flags I missed. Facts. My ex-wife used me for a ring and wedding only, her words. We divorced 3 months after a 5-year marriage relationship. Many women view relationships as transactional until sex time is involved, and then it's misogynistic to expect women to be intimate. It's easy to get a man, but it's hard to keep a man. So a good-looking woman who has been single for 2 years is a red flag. Under a month, hookups don't count. It just seems to me marriage is hurting a lot of people. One of the main reasons why these men aren't getting married is because these modern women are so selfish. They try to make everything about themselves, forgetting they have a partner. Their number one goal in marriage for them is to walk away with everything you got. Now, why would a man take such a risk knowing this? That's why the passport bros exist. Get your money worth.
The passport bros seem to be a hot commodity nowadays, so let's just go ahead and get straight into it. This is another case of black women not minding their business. Y'all didn't care about mail order brides until black men happened to make it popular, but of course you feel entitled to being the BBC commander when something no longer benefits you, although these are the same men that you said you didn't want, didn't need, and they are broke. I'm gonna be honest, going overseas to travel frequently and live does not equate to broke. But then again, this just simply speaks to the delusion and hypocrisy of women. These men have been very clear in their message. They've said time and time again they wanted wives, someone they could build with, start their family with, someone they could create a legacy with. What y'all heard was they wanted someone that they can control. Y'all minimize being a wife simply down to being a slave, even so much as telling those other women overseas that they're uneducated and practicing sex tourism. And in turn, a lot of y'all have took your degree and traded it in for an OnlyFans profile. Nobody said anything when women were going to Dubai. We know why you were going. Nobody said anything when women were flying state to state getting flued out. We know what you were doing. Nobody said anything when Nigerian and Jamaican men needed green cards and y'all started falsifying marriage documents so you could drive your Range Rover with your red bottoms. Let's just call a spade a spade. Y'all wanted the option to go back to these men after the man that you really wanted was done dragging you through the mud.
That was beautifully said. By the way, this woman received a ton of hate for speaking the truth. But the truth of the matter is, if men aren't finding the women that they want in the West, they will go somewhere else to get it. These women have shamed and disrespect the very men they say they didn't want. Something isn't right here. Make it make sense.
Why are women more likely to initiate divorce faster than men? Good question. I got an answer for you. Let's get into it. Women tend to test higher in the trait neuroticism, one of the big 5 traits. This trait means that women are more sensitive to negative emotions, i.e. deep levels of anxiety. 1 unit of stress or several units of negative emotion attached to it. What does that mean, Sam? Women are more likely to feel unhappy faster. Because some women tend to ruminate, i.e. focus on the negative, find it very hard to get out of that negative space. Some researchers think that because the world is a more dangerous place for women, and that women have had to care for dependents, that neurotic trait helps them to be more sensitive to negative emotion and negative environments to care for their children.
They initiate divorce faster than men because they're tired of communicating to fix the marriage. Once she reaches that point, all she wants is half of everything that you have. Some of these women look at marriage like it's a business and not for what it is. Once these women make up their mind to clean you out, the love is gone. Marriage is continuous work. Some of these women just be wanting the wedding, but not the marriage. Be careful with who you allow into your life.
54% of women cheat because they're unhappy. That unhappiness that leads to women cheating, and then essentially women cheat to get out of relationships, that just speaks to how, unstable that marriages typically are. Women initiate divorce at a higher rate than men do. So that commitment that's made for sickness, and in health till death do us part, that commitment is supposed to be honored. So when a woman feels that she doesn't love her husband anymore, or she's bored, or whatever the case may be, those pillars of those principles are supposed to stand. A lot of people don't know how to properly vet. When they jump into relationships in the infatuation stage, they're not prepared for, oh, we're going to have these disagreements. Here's where our personalities don't align. Here's where our values don't align. And the minute those things rise to the surface, they want out. And typically it's the woman first, because the woman is the one who gets fed up first. She's the one who gets irritated first. She's the one who gets annoyed first, and she wants out.
Messages and emails I will commonly receive from men. My wife never ever says good morning, hello, or anything to me really. She just takes me for granted. I'm just there. Basically, the only time she says anything to me is to bark an order at me. Why? Well, she's not wife material. Sorry, you married a broken one. Or men will say, anytime I say anything that approaches the world of romance, or even, God forbid, sexuality, my wife becomes irate and angry and violent at me. Why? Well, she's not wife material. Sorry. She's just a broken person. My wife will say when I reach for her to give her a hug or to give her a kiss that I'm being extremely needy and I'm like a little broken boy and I need to cool it. Why does she say this? Because she's not wife material. She's a broken person. I'm oversimplifying here, I know, using the term broken, which isn't necessarily fair. But here's the deal. Not everyone on the planet Earth is wired for a long-term relationship with another human being. It takes a special kind of person to do that. And a person who is very quote-unquote avoidant in their personality, which is they don't like any kind of interpersonal connectivity, as soon as it gets personal and emotional, they just back off. Those people are not very well wired for a romantic relationship with another person, especially with a person who does enjoy those things. Now, two avoidant people can get together, sure, and I'm sure they can live a long, I was going to say healthy relationship, not necessarily by my standards, but I'm sure they can live a long life together and they're happy, fine, whatever. But that ain't most of you out there. Most of you out there enjoy, God forbid, actual emotional and physical intimacy with your partner. And if the other person says, ew, yeah, get away, they're not wife material. Sorry.
I cannot fathom telling a lover that they're behaving like a broken little boy whenever he needs intimacy. That is so demeaning and hurtful. Whenever I discuss a problem I have in my marriage with my wife, she turns it into something I'm not even talking about. She only listens to react. Just went through a divorce. I felt like a failure. Listening to you has kept me sane. You've brought a lot of light to topics I needed. Thanks. And this is why it's very important to choose a good woman. All of these men are just silently suffering in their marriage. Why put up with it when you can find something better? Just listen to all of these messages from those guys. It's just sad. Why would your woman get mad at you because you're showing her affection? It's honestly just a sign of her getting tired of you. And that happens in marriages after a long time. But if it keeps on happening, that's when you know the love is fading away. A lot of people get married and forget they have a duty to uphold as the wife or husband. That's why these marriages don't work out.
You look pretty.
What did you say?
I said you look shitty. Good night, Denise.
Reason why a lot of women will never be a wife. It doesn't matter how good you look. It doesn't matter what you do to enhance your body. Makeup, you could slap on makeup. A pig will always be a pig in a lipstick. And let me explain something why I say that. You could go get weight loss surgery. You could do everything. You could put on a push-up bra. You could fix your body. You could do whatever you want. But one thing you will never fix is your mentality. That's why a lot of you guys won't get wifed up. The way you think and the way your mouth is. Your guys' mouth, you guys could be the most beautiful, attractive woman, but your mouth is the reason why a lot of you are single up to now. The way you talk to a man, you feel like you could talk to a man any kind of way. And that's the reason why a lot of you will always remain single. I don't care how beautiful. You see, a lot of you guys are hitting the wall in your 30s and being up on TikTok crying that you can't find a man. And a lot of you still look good. You know why? It's your mouth and you already been ran through. That's why you have a lot of miles on you. Facts.
I will say, a lot of pretty girls can attract the most successful man, but her beauty can only take her so far. Without developing character and having feminine traits, these women will never end up married. It's just not what the guys are looking for.
Because it's iconic. And I love to do iconic shit.
You want to be with someone that can hold a good conversation and add something to it.
If I can have a conversation with her, but I don't need a girl who's like got insane charisma and can tell good stories and has a witty comeback to like everything.
Okay.
It's a very low priority.
Okay.
I don't care. I care about other personality traits. Chiefly, does she bring me peace? That's the most important thing personality-wise a girl can bring me, because I have a very stressful job. The last thing I want to do is have a girlfriend that's always wanting to argue.
Yeah.
We're always in some sort of conflict. The biggest thing a girl can bring me personality-wise is peace and calm.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how many times it's said they will never get it. A man values peace over everything else. Whatever else you want to add onto his life is great, but that's not what he values the most, especially after hours and hours of working. He doesn't need a nagging woman at his ear.
What men really want and what they really need is peace. You need to be his peace. A man's job is to provide for you. He's going to be operating at high stress levels, and the last thing he needs is to deal with your toxic drama bullshit. He needs to come home after working hard all day to provide for you. He needs to come home to peace. You need to be comfort. You need to be his peace. And the older I get, truly, the more I understand this. You can literally be the hottest girl alive, the hottest. But if you are drama, if you are toxic, if you are just constant, he's gonna dip you so fast you can't even blink. Men don't like the drama. So if you really want to tie a man down, stop focusing so much on your looks and start focusing on yourself. Start focusing on how can I provide him peace? How can I provide him stability and make sure I have everything locked down here so he can go and deal with his high stress job to provide for us. Looks aren't everything at the end of the day.
What are the requirements?
What are the requirements for a wife? Well, she's got to love the Lord. Has to be traditionally feminine. Are you shaking your head at that?
Keep going.
If a woman loves the Lord and she subscribes to biblical values, she will understand that it is the man's job to lead the family, provide for the family, and to lead the family under the headship of Christ. And it's the woman's job to submit to that man's headship in the family. So a woman that's cool with the idea of submission. Now, a lot of women have issues with the idea of submission, understandably so. What I would be bringing to the table in a scenario like marriage is actually being worthy of submitting to as a man, right? Earning her submission through good leadership.
Of course she doesn't like to hear that. When a woman hears submission, it's like their nerves has just been hit by a truck. They want the marriage, but don't want to uphold the boundaries in the marriage. Submission is like a word they're afraid of. When a man says submission, they think labor. Modern women view marriage in a terrible light. Marrying them is just not worth it. Get your passport.
The guy I'm dating now, we're on the exact same page about weddings because I don't want a big fancy wedding and he does not want to marry me.